Welcome back to my channel. Um, this is the second video of the playlist, and this is going to be a very must to watch video for you if you are from non-technical background and you want to know or you are not familiar with any other tool that you are likely to use to do your coding. Well, so the agenda of this video is going to make you introduce with Anaconda, download and installation of that, and then I will also walk you through the Jupyter Notebook. So Jupyter Notebook is the actual web or rather application that we are going to use for our all examples and exercise in short programming with Python throughout this series. In specifically, we are going to touch upon the difference between code cell and markdown cell keyboard shortcuts that you, if you know, like becomes easy to work with Jupyter Notebook, and then how to run code with Jupyter Notebook. That's the eventual things we are going to see. So stay connected as we explore more about the Jupyter Notebook. So Anaconda is the tool, or it's a software management package manager, software that can help you mm, to download all the required packages that you would need in order to work with Python and also any other relevant packages that we may need in future. So you have to begin with Anaconda installation. To install it, first you have to download, which you can of course download from the link that you see on my screen. That's anaconda.com/product/distribution. Once you will go to the link, you'll see some page like here where you can download based on your operating system a specific version of Anaconda. You just have to ensure that Python package or the Python version that you are downloading along with Anaconda should be Python 3 point onwards. Python 2.2 is outdated and we are not going to use any longer. So just ensure for the Python version, rest all Anaconda will take care. Once you have downloaded the software from this website, you just have to follow the prompts in order to install that. The prompts are quite self explanatory. You just follow and choose the default parameters and it will be installed very quickly for you. You do not need any prerequisite to install that. Like any software, Anaconda can be treated as other software and installed properly. Once you have installed your Anaconda, just open the Anaconda. Like any other software, you can just type Anaconda in your search icon and it should open. Once you have opened your Anaconda, the next stage is to open the Jupyter Notebook. So in order to open Jupyter Notebook, well, if you are not aware of Anaconda, once you open the Anaconda Navigator, the screen shot, what you see on my screen, something like that, you'll see. As I said, Anaconda Navigator is a software manager package that manages many softwares together that take care of the version issues, the updates, for all the software to work together. So the Anaconda Navigator by default installs all the mandatory softwares along with the required packages. And all you have to now do is use the specific software that you are interested for. As I said in this all videos, I'm going to make use of Jupyter Notebook for our coding, as Jupyter Notebook is very convenient to use, not for the user, but even for the presenter to show the content of it. So now is the task where you have to open your Jupyter Notebook. And to open the Jupyter Notebook, you have to go on Anaconda Navigator and then basically go ahead and click the Jupyter Notebook. As you see, this is the Jupyter Notebook I'm talking about. Jupyter Notebook, just to give you some more idea, and you can also read it on the screen. It is a web-based interactive computing notebook, or it's a web-based application in very simple words. So Jupyter Notebook never opens as a standalone application on your system, but rather it takes help of your browser, web browser, and it opens with the web browser. And how do you know if it's that's opened or not? That's very simple. Once you click on the launch, basically, if you're a first time user, it will not be showing you launch, rather, it will show you install here. You have to install it first. Since I have already installed it before while taking the screenshot, there's only option called launch. So you have to click on launch, and then once you click on launch, it will take, as I said, your default browser, which mostly goes as a Google Chrome for most of us. So it will take up your default browser and it will open in your default browser with a local host address, like something you see here on the highlighted section. Depending on what default port your system has, you can see different port number. That is totally okay, but the local host will always be used to open this your Jupyter Notebook to your web browser. And then once you have opened it in your web browser, now is the turn for us to open the Jupyter Notebook instance. And to do that, it is very simple. Again, let's see that. Once we have the Jupyter Notebook open in the browser, we have to go and click on New, right? There's a small drop down option. You have to click on this drop down option. Once you expand it, you'll see the options like here, Notebook. So basically, Python 3, it says if I am going to create an instance of this notebook, it will work using Python 3 or Python version 3, not Python 2. If by mistake you have installed Python 2 Anaconda, you have to uninstall that and install it with Python 3. Just for your information, Python 2 and Python 3 are way different, and it's very difficult to translate or transfer codes from one to another, given that. Another additional information for you is that Python 2 is quite outdated and not being used in industry at this point of time. Only the old and outdated versions of the products are working with Python 2. So we have to work with Python 3. Any version of 3 onwards is fine to work with. So once you click on the new drop down button, you will see Python 3. You have to click on the Python 3. That will open an instance of the Jupyter Notebook, which I'm going to show you in next few seconds. For some reason, if you want to create a folder, you can create a folder here by clicking on the folder option. These are all clickable buttons. The folders will be listed on your browser, something like, as you see, these are the folders right now on my system. And whenever you'll create any new folder, that will also be listed along with your existing folders. If you have to do any operation on the folders, maybe like renaming it, all you can do is that by just checking on the button. Once you check on the button, the particular folder will be selected, and then on top you will see options to rename, to delete, to do many more operations on the folder, and that all can be done very easily. I hope you could follow so far. Now let's dive in and see and work with real-time Jupyter Notebook and see what are the various options, how that looks like, and what else we can do on a Jupyter Notebook. So we are right now on Jupyter Notebook. Yes. So if you recall the last content a couple of seconds back, I showed you a PPT format that was nothing but created with the help of Jupyter Notebook. So Jupyter Notebook, again, it's a web-based application that helps you or that provides you an environment on which you can do coding, and along with that you can do proper documentation. I'm going to explore the and show you all the properties that Jupyter Notebook supports. So let's do that quickly. Whenever you will launch your Jupyter Notebook for the very first time, You may not have content like what you see on my screen right now. This I have created so you see it. So whenever you click, what you will see only a single cell like something here. So that is totally okay. I'm going to tell you how to add many cells, how to remove a cell, and do a lot more operations as promised. So stick with me. The moment you come on a Jupyter notebook, you would like to rename it the very first time. You can do the renaming by clicking here on the highlighted section. I have renamed it. The moment I click on it will again give me an option to further rename. I do not want to rename this time, but whenever you have to rename, you can do right away from here, clicking on that. The next other options, though there are many more options, I will try to touch upon very important options so to keep this video very short, precise, and to the point. Whenever you have to download this Jupyter Notebook file, you can always do that with the download as options. Jupyter Notebook supports many formats to be downloaded once you are done or with creating a Jupyter Notebook. You can also download the py extension of the Jupyter Notebook. What is a py extension? This is a Python file extension that can be used to generate your actual application or Python application. So whenever you have to actually convert your content in the Jupyter Notebook to an application, you must download it as a py.py extension, which is quite easy and can be done at any point of time once working with the Jupyter Notebook. Then we also do have PDF form, we have HTML form, and the previous slides were presented as a HTML file and all created with this Jupyter Notebook. The next one is view option. Well, a lot of you may not appreciate these properties right now, but you will notice it at some point of time. If you can show your line number, it becomes much easier to debug the code and even to maintain your code. So if you want to show line number, like if you see there was a line number before, but the moment I clicked on that option, the line number disappeared. So you can have or line numbered your code through the line number toggle effect. That always comes under view. Next one is inserting a cell and then deleting a cell, which you can also do through the insert options. However, I'm going to give you a keyboard shortcuts that can help you to do without with the keyboards itself. You don't have to use the menu options over there. Cell option provides you a lot of options under cell tab that can be used to run your code. Whenever you have to run your code, for example, let's say um, 2 plus 2 I have written and I want to compute it. So how can I do that? Well, there are three ways you can do it, and in fact, four ways. But the third option is quite optional and everyone may not see that. So for example, the one way is you can select your cell and you can click on this run button. That is first option, which I'm not going to do, but note it down. We will see them in the later sections. The next is you can go under the cell tab and you can click on run cells. If you see there are suggested keyboard shortcuts as well given. If you press Ctrl plus Enter, that will also run the cells. You can also do that with Control and Shift and Enter, and you can also do with Alt and Enter. But along with that, I can also do by clicking on this arrow. If you can see, run this cell. This sort of arrow beside your cells, you can only see if you have a touchscreen laptop. If you do not have a touchscreen laptop, you may not likely to see this option. So do not get panic when you don't see and run option besides your cell. So I'm not running. Let's find. Now you may be interested to know. Let's understand the difference between code cell and markdown cell. What is code cell? So by default, every new cell that you add in Jupyter Notebook, it is called a code cell. Why it's a cell where you can code, where you can write the actual code supported by Python. right? This code should be something that it follows the syntax, Python syntax. We are going to talk about the syntax later, but right now just understand there are some rules, some grammars that any programming language do have, and those all rules should be supported for any word or sentence or token you write within this cell, which is called code cell. There is another type of cell called markdown cell. And in markdown cells are designed just for your proper documentation cell. For example, if you have to convert any code cell to a markdown cell, all you can do, there are multiple ways. The very simple ways is that you select the cell, go to the drop down, click on markdown. The moment you click on markdown, did you notice the green color turned out to a blue color? That means it's a markdown now. It's as good as a documented. My code got converted to a document now. Yes, that's the beauty of Jupyter Notebook. It supports the code along with the documentation on the same file. Your documentation will never do any harm to your code, and it will always, they will sit together hand in hand without impacting any code run, which rarely happens in any other application. However, you can do that through a code cell. If you have a code cell or you have a markdown cell and you want to again change to a code cell, just choose code cell. You just have to be careful that you have written something meaningful that is supported by the code cell. We will come to that later. Now, if you have a question like, I have a markdown cell and I want to edit it, for example, here, I have already written some content and but I want to do some changes. How can I do it? All you have to do is double click on the cell and then you can now write or modify your content. Once you are done with the modification, just select the cell, click and run. That should again show it as a documented form. That's all. So this is the difference. These are the differences between Markdown and Code Cell. Hope this is clear. Now let's go to the next section where we will see some common keywords or keyboard shortcuts that can help you to just work with Jupyter Notebook without too much relying on your mouse or cursor. So there are many keyboard shortcuts, but here I would like to highlight only the key important ones and must to have. Of course, you can have a good to have skill sets for which I will help provide you the reference and you can go through that. First one, as I said, whenever you have to run your code, you can always do that. Select the cell and then you can press Shift Enter or Alt Enter, or we also saw there's an option called Control Enter. All of this will work. Then, if you see, whenever you have a code cell like here, when you are on the editor of the code cell, your color of your cell selected portion is green in color. That basically indicates you are in a writing mode. You are in a modify mode. You have to edit it. You can write it. But this is a time where all the excess, like let's say this is Python demo class. Right now, any operation like control A, if I'm doing only on the content part. I'm not doing it for the cell across the cell. If you want to switch your access from this editor, which is a brown in color, to the this section, if you see it turned out blue right now, that means you have selected the entire code or everything on this cell. You can delete this cell, you can modify anything you can do. So whenever you have to go, and this is now edit mode, whenever you want to switch from edit mode to the select mode through the keyboard shortcut, that is nothing through escape button. I'm on edit mode now. I click on escape button. I'm in now select mode, right? Now I'm in select mode. I want to enter back to the edit mode. Just click on enter button and you are in edit mode. So you have to remember these two important shortcuts. First, whenever you are in edit mode, right now I am in edit mode. I have to go now select mode. Press on escape button. I am in select mode. And you see the color of my cell change to blue, indicating right now I am in select mode. What is the advantage of being select mode? We will come to that. Now, I'm in select mode and I want to go back to the edit mode. How can I go through my keyboard shortcut? Press enter. That should be fine. Okay? Right. Now, whenever we are here, people do practice. You can either write all your codes in the same code cell or you can add multiple code cells as per your wish to write different code in different sections so that you have a proper documented code section as well. So whenever you have to add some new cells, right, um, then how can you do that? So for to do that, it's very simple. Please read out to this line very, very carefully. What it says to add a cell. Now you can add a cell from any reference cell. Let's say I'm here. Right now I'm here. I want to add a cell above it. Okay, so all I have to do is select the cell. See, I selected it. If you click outside, that also selects, or if you press on escape button, that too selects. I selected the cell and then I pressed A. That is all. A stands for above. So I pressed above and then I got a cell above my current cell. Likewise, let's say I'm back to my previous position and now I need to add a new cell below it. All I have to do is select it, which I'm already in select mode, and press B. That gives you a new cell below it. B stands for below. You can read that here. Sounds good? Yep. Let's see next one. Right now, I have this. I'm right now back to my cell and I want to, right now, this is in code mode. Do you guys agree? It is the code cell. I have to write code here, but I want to convert it to a markdown cell. How can I do that? Through keyboard shortcuts. So all I have to do is again select the cell. You can do that either with your cursor or mouse or by pressing escape button and then press M. M is a short form for markdown. If you notice the moment okay, let's do it once more. This is my code cell. The moment I pressed M, now the color of my text have changed. All text being black indicates these are now your just your any normal plain text. Okay. Whenever you have already some text and you want to again convert back to a code cell mode, all you have to do is select your cell, press Y, and now I'm back to a code mode cell. Sounds good? Yeah. To save the file, you can make use of Control S option that should work. And whenever you have to traverse across these cells, to do that, you can make use of your cursor, arrow up button, arrow down button. That should work equally. Also, if you noticed, I have certain text of varying font size. This is in bold letter and of higher, bigger font size, but I have another text which are of a smaller font size. How did I get them? That is very simple. You can convert any text to of varying font size by pressing your numeric button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As you noticed, the moment this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As I'm pressing the higher numbers on my keyboard, the font size is decreasing. And if you also notice, the number of hash symbol is increasing, right? So that is a way to convert any on a markdown cell. On a markdown cell, I can vary the font size by adding number of or number of hash. Okay, so that is the highest I have. Then I have the second highest. Then I have the third highest. Then I have the fourth one. This is the fifth one, what you see, and this is the sixth one. that are the various supported font size you can create by varying the number of hash. You can really vary the number of hash manually, or you can do that with your numeric buttons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That simple it is. Now you see how simple that looks. What about bullet points? If I have to make a bullet points like this, let's see what's the secret behind this. I click on this and you see how did I get the bullet points? Just by giving hash, hyphen. My hyphens will be converted, the hyphens used in a markdown cells will be converted to the bullet points. What if I want many layer of bullet points? Can I do that? Yes, you have to just align them. Use your tab button. Now have a look. Now this is a sub bullet points. I could equally generate. I know it's not making sense right now, but just to show you, I'm showing how sub bullet points are created just with your hyphen and proper indentation. So indentations can be created with your tab button. Right? Sounds good? Looks good documentation, isn't it? Yes. So that is all about your keyboard shortcuts and important ones that I highlighted. In case if you are interested to go through more keyboard shortcuts, here are the documentations provided by Jupyter Notebook official page. You click on your keyboard shortcuts and that will take you through the all the available keyboard shortcuts that you can make use of or practice more in order to work efficiently with Jupyter Notebook, right? Now, the last agenda for today is how to run the code. So as I said, to run the code, you have to write your code in the code cell and then click on run button or press shift enter, control enter or alt enter. If you are using Mac OS or MacBook basically, then you have to use command button instead of control. That will be the only difference. Hopefully, with this, you are now familiar with the Jupyter Notebook, and please, if not, take your time, spend on it, get familiar. This is the tool I'm going to use for the programming or writing all the codes that I'm going to share with you in the future videos. Till then, have a happy learning.